Hello my fellow chef knives enthusiasts! Today I'm going to show you my Jiro Nakagawa 240mm Sujihiki made of Yasuki white Shirogami No. 1 octagonal wa handle made of Tagayasan and blonde buffalo horn ferrule. Jiro Nakagawa is a Japanese bladesmith that works alone from his self-constructed house and workshop in the countryside of Nagano in Japan. Yeah, you heard that right, he constructed his own house and workshop. One day he was just like, I need a place to live, I need a place to work. Here, hold my beer. With his own hands and mostly strength, he constructed his own sanctuary to live and work in, entirely from scratch. Everything he did to achieve that was completely self-taught. He had some help from some friends only when he couldn't do some specific tasks all by himself. Let's unbox this knife. Jiro-san also practiced the art of calligraphy for over 20 years, and it shows. The certificate with calligraphy is nice enough to have it framed in my humble opinion, even without me being able to read what it says. It's just a beautiful piece of paper because of that calligraphy on it. So I asked him if he could translate this certificate for me, and he did. So basically this is a certificate of authenticity, I guess, that it's a real Jiro made knife. Now let's get that blade out already. The excitement in this room is so thick right now, you could cut it with a knife. Can I have a moment of silence here? Look at that perfect soft Clad and Kasumi finish. That hazy, cloudy mistiness. That's a lot of time on the stones right there. Kasumi roughly translates to mist or cloud and refers to the hazy appearance of the soft steel iron cladding in contrast to the fine polished cutting edge. Just in case you don't know what a Kasumi finish is or refers to. It's getting hot in here. I need to lay down this blade for a minute before I'll have to take off my clothes and whatnot. The beauty of this knife just hit me in the face like it's a beauty that I had to develop an appreciation for, meaning that the type of finish on this knife, before I knew how it is done, how bladesmiths make this Kasumi finish on a knife. You know, the more you learn about something, of course, the more interesting it gets, but the Kasumi finish on a knife was not the most appealing to me until I bought my Shigefusa knife, which has this unworldly Kasumi finish, and especially when I learned how they are making it, what they use for it, I was getting more interested in knives with Kasumi finishes. It started to appeal to me more. And the Kasumi finish on this Jiro knife, I don't know, man. It's definitely the most beautiful Kasumi finish that I've seen with my own eyes, like on a knife holding in my hand, looking at it. I've seen so many knives online. There is a big difference between looking at a knife on a picture on a website compared to holding a knife, looking at it with your own eyes. Frank Yalo commented on one of the pictures that I posted in the Facebook group that he got weak in the knees. And yeah, I responded with I barely made it home after I bought it. The Kasumi finish on this Jiro Sujihiki, in my humble opinion, is about on the same level as my Shigefusa Santoku when it came out of the box. I'm pretty sure Jiro wouldn't put himself on the same level as Tokifusa Izuka himself, but man, This knife is light and feels very nimble in the hands. Next to the near perfect Kasumi, the spine of this blade is something else too. The blade has a really thick neck, like thick neck, and then tapers down really fast into a really nice thin spine, ending in a very nice thin tip. I personally love the look of this spine. It is just another thing that you don't see a lot on Japanese knives. My Ryusen Limited Bunka also has a neck and spine that is slightly similar, but the fit and finish on this Jiro supersedes the fit and finish on the Ryusen Limited Bunka. To me, it gives the spine a lot of elegance. It definitely makes the blade look a little bit distinct from other Japanese knives. The tang is also quite thick and long, so it goes pretty far into the handle. The kurouchi finish is pretty subtle. It's not that rugged. Speaking of subtle, this knife, the certificate, the description on the box, on the websites, it says this knife has a Tsuchime finish. Is it me, or is the Tsuchime finish even more subtle than the kurouchi finish? What do you think, Papa? Do you see a Tsuchime finish? I have quite a few knives with a Tsuchime finish. For example, the Kurosaki knives, far from subtle. So it kind of struck me as a surprise that I think most Jiro knives that I've spotted online are listed with a Tsuchime finish, but when you look at them, you have to look very closely to spot the Tsuchime finish. That being said, when you look at this knife from a certain angle with a certain light, you can definitely see some very subtle little denting on the blades, and especially right up at the spine. And when I touch the blade with my fingers and rub on the blade, I can actually feel this subtle Tsuchime finish, this subtle hammering pattern. The idea of the Tsuchime finish is that it will help with food release when cutting your produce. Other bladesmiths, like for example Yu Kurosaki, use these Tsuchime finishes to give aesthetic value to a knife. Jiro's decision as a bladesmith are all made with the idea of making a knife that performs, that will cut right. Each knife that he makes, he wants it to cut better than his previous knife, and he's not thinking about the looks of his knife. Everything he done to this blade is to make it perform better. But still, if the word Tsuchime was not mentioned in the title of this blade, I probably wouldn't even noticed it. Calling this a Tsuchime finish is a bit of a far stretch to me personally. Anyway, the kanji on this blade looks amazing. It's an art form all by itself. It has kanji on both sides. On the left side of this blade, you'll see the serial number, which is 340. All Jiro's blades are numbered. On the right side of the blade, it's Jiro's name. The octagonal wa handle is made of Tagayasan, or a wench, and has a blonde buffalo horn ferrule. My cat really seems to like blondes. In Japan, this unusual dark-grained wood is known as iron sword wood for its incredible durability. So I had a few knives with a wenji handle before and I didn't like them. Somehow the wenji wood doesn't feel right in my hand. It's very, very light, very smooth. It almost feels like plastic. But this particular handle made of wenji wood, I don't have any problems with it. The blonde buffalo horn ferrule is really nice. It has these really nice details in it. The transition to the wenji wood is seamless. And the wenji wood itself, yeah. Apparently I like wenji wood. Plus, everybody knows my cat is my first line of quality control when it comes to Japanese knives. And somehow the handle of this knife is incredibly interesting to him. He just loves to sniff every single millimeter of this handle. I guess this is his way of telling me that I should start allowing wenji handles on my knives from now on, because he seems to really love it. And how can I not love something that my cat loves? Yeah, this knife is by far the most sniffed at knife in my collection. My cat doesn't get enough of this knife. The grind on this knife is also really beautifully done, in my opinion. It's like a complete flat grind. It seems to me that it's done in a 70-30 ratio, as in that one side of the blade is in a slightly more acute angle than the other, if that makes any sense. It's not like a 50-50 bevel grind. It almost looks like a single bevel knife without a urasuki or concave side, but one side of the blade almost seems to be straight while the other side of the blade has a angle. I've seen a lot of Jiro knives posts in the knife community on Facebook. All these people seem to be speaking very highly of them. So when Ono de Weert, the owner of Karasu Knives in Amsterdam, posted on Instagram that he was happy to have received 2 Jiro knives to sell to his customers, which is kind of a big deal if you are a knife seller or vendor, retailer of Japanese knives, because Jiro's knives are only sold at a very selected group of vendors in the world. So I read somewhere that there are only 5 vendors in the world that are allowed to sell Jiro's knives. I'm not sure if that's still the case, but you get the point that Hitohira takes Jiro's knives very seriously. So I'm very happy for Ono de Weert from Karasu Knives that Hitohira obviously now sees him as a reputable seller. Congrats Ono with your really nice store. But anyway, when I saw that he was able to sell 2 of his knives, and he stated that he was going to make them available in his store on a certain day, and then 2 days later he would make them available on his website. I knew, probably everybody knew, that these knives were not going to make it to the website. I, for one, immediately texted Ono, is that Sujihiki with the wall handle already sold or reserved or taken? Because I would really want it. Even though I never saw a Jiro knife with my own eyes before or used them, I've seen too many people that I kind of trust their opinion, since they are knife nerds that do have his knives, that I was like, yeah, I got to get me one of those. So on the day that Ono made them available in his store, first thing in the morning I went to Karasu Knives, and to my unpleasant surprise there was already somebody in his store. So I was like, damn, somebody beat me to the punch. But luckily for me, the other guy was there for the other Jiro knife, which was a Kyuto with a yo handle. So he was not going to buy the knife that I was interested in. I wanted that Sujihiki with a wa handle because I'm a wa handle guy. After geeking out on these two knives with the three of us on a Wednesday morning 10 a.m. I was able to get my hands on one of Jiro's knives. From the first moment I picked it up, I knew Jiro is the real deal. I can't explain it in words, I think. I've touched so many knives with my own hands by now after working as a chef for more than 10 years. I mean, you can say so many things about knives, but this one immediately bonded, if I may believe Ono and the other guy in the store. The look on my face when I first picked it up, you know, just spoke volumes, said enough. I probably looked very happy. Before I went to the store, I was kind of still in doubt if I was going to buy this knife, since I've only heard stories about Jiro, but I was pretty damn sure I wanted to at least touch it, look at it with my own eyes, and then come up with my own little assessment, I guess. No such thing needed. I saw the knife, picked it up, and it was done. I had to buy this knife. After I bought this knife, I wanted to learn more about the maker, because as soon as I saw the knife with my own eyes and picked it up, I immediately felt that this was quite a special knife. So I reached out to Jiro on Instagram through DM, and he was so kind and so quickly to respond to my questions. So thank you, Jiro, if you're watching this. Arigato goizaimasu. Thank you so much for being so approachable and giving me this information. He basically started his bladesmith activities and career right after graduating from high school. He just liked knives and he wanted to make them. He was lucky enough to meet with some of the most skilled craftsmen around Japan. So lucky that Jiro-san may call none other than Tokifusa Izuka a teacher and good friend, and being a good brother to his sons, and got some hints on how to teach himself these same skills and become a good bladesmith. Then it was just a lot of trial and error, training and practicing repeatedly until his body was too exhausted to move, thinking about why he failed, learn from his mistakes, and then try again. Personally, I like that kind of mindset. If you want something, if you want to do something, just go for it. Do it. The more you do something, the better you get at it. Trial and error. You learn the most from your mistakes. So you better make as much mistakes in life as possible. The trick is not to make the same mistake twice. Jiro-san told me that while he was teaching himself to become a good bladesmith, he was earning his living expenses from other jobs for 23 years. Working early in the morning, in the middle of the night, and on holidays. Now that's the artist's life right there. Honing your craft, following your passion with every chance you get, while doing these stupid jobs for survival money. It's pretty frustrating to do jobs that you're clearly overqualified for. But that's, the struggle in life, I guess, for a lot of people. Even if you find out what is your passion or vocation or calling in life, then it's a whole nother thing to turn that into a business or to make a living out of it. Anybody who turned a hobby into a business is blessed. Even when you discover your greatest passion in life, it's not just for everyone to make a living out of that. Not everyone will find their ikigai. He says that his method of knife making is probably one of the most primitive. He taught himself all about metallurgy and heat treatment, mainly using his intuition and just by gaining new experience every day. All aspects of Jiro's process are deeply considered and expertly executed. Making one knife usually takes so much time to finish that it makes him desperate from time to time. But he will never give up on making the ideal knife. He pays attention to every step of the process and never cut corners. Only a very small number of knives are crafted each month. This information came from Hitohira and I found it on the Tosho Knives website. And it tells a little bit about something you can clearly see on the surface of Jiro's knives. These spots you can see that have different colors on the steel are called aike or gomahada. This shows up because some dust gets in during forging or because of the inconsistency of carbon content. Modern knife making often uses higher temperatures to avoid this from happening, but it is ideal to use lower temperatures because it keeps more carbon content inside the steel rather than burning it away. When you weld jigane and hagane at the best temperature, there is always some leftover agent for hand laminating. It shows up as aike or gomahada later. So understand that Jiro is trying to not only make the surface clean, but he is trying to make the whole forging quenching process under the best condition of his white #1 carbon steel. So in a nutshell, if I understand this story correctly, I am not an expert on metallurgy, but as far as I know right now, these sesame spots, as they are called, are showing a conscious and well-made decision by Jiro. So the quality of the steel is more important to him than the look of the steel when the blade is finished. In a way, I mean, it's not that these sesame spots are making the blades look ugly at all, but some people might see them as imperfections or maybe don't like them. If that is something that is going to annoy you visually, just understand that this is the result of striving for the best steel. When I asked Jiro if there is one knife that he made that has a special place in his heart, he answered with, "The one is all the knives that I have released." That was the best answer that I could have received. And it says everything about his approach as a bladesmith, in my opinion. One question I asked Jiro is if he sold all the knives that he made, or perhaps kept one or two for himself. He replied with, "I have a lot of failed knives," and then this laughing emoticon. If I made incredible knives like this, like Jiro does, I imagine I would at least keep one of them for myself and use them. But no, he chooses, like, whenever the knife is perfect, he just wants to make it available to others. I'm just wondering what knives he uses for himself when he's cooking. Maybe, I mean, probably his failed knives are still pretty effing good. Or maybe he uses knives from other makers. I don't know. I just think it's really cool that if a knife is perfect for him, he just wants it to be available for someone else. Amazing. This mentality of being of service to others in Japanese culture, to me, is so inspiring and fascinating. And I experienced that when I was in Japan myself, how everyone is just very happy and willing to be of service to someone else and help each other. One knife of Jiro made him probably my favorite bladesmith for a while, or at least amongst my favorites. It is clear that so much heart and soul and skill and effort and time and energy and thought went into making this blade. I love people like this, that strive for perfection in everything they do, but will always tell others that they are amateurs. I really can relate to that myself. I do that myself a lot as well. I am a bit of a jack of all trades, master of none, but most things that I do, I'm getting better at because I love to do it. So you put your heart and soul in there and you improve every time, every day. You become a little bit better at something. But still, because you are a jack of all trades doing many different things, I personally compare myself to all these specialists, all these people that are the best at something that I also do. And compared to those people, I will always feel like an amateur. But the level of mastery, the level of skills that a guy like Jiro has on all these different fields, that's just the way I also try to go through life. Just to choose to do whatever it is you like the most, even though you can come up with a million great reasons not to do it. Just do it. So I was actually planning to just look at this knife for a couple of weeks before start using it, but after one day of staring at it, I just had to try it out. Since this is a Sujihiki or a slicer, I wanted the first thing to prepare with this knife to be sashimi. And with sashimi, it's always nice to have a little bit of garnish. I mean, I'm not a sushi chef at all, but I sometimes try out little nice garnish thingies. At the end of the day, you eat with your eyes first. I'm a big fan of food that looks really great and then continues to amaze you with its flavors and textures, but it all starts with how you plate your food, and if food looks amazing, you immediately will get a bigger appetite. You immediately are going to enjoy the food even more. And I love the amount of attention and skill in the Japanese cuisine, especially in the kaiseki style cuisine. It's edible art. And to make that edible art, you need knives like this. And that's why I appreciate bladesmiths like Jiro Nakagawa, because they understand where the Japanese chefs are coming from and what they want to do with the knives. I only had a few leftover pieces of fish actually in the house when I was filming this. So I had this little piece of bluefin tuna. Yeah, this knife just slices through like butter. Even with a novice technique like mine, this knife just performs amazingly for cutting sashimi. The reason why you want to cut fish with a knife like this is that you can cut it in one nice gentle stroke, which means that the structure of the fish or meat is not compromised or damaged, and that will preserve the maximum flavor of the produce. The structure of the fish is untouched when you slice it with a decent Japanese knife. I'm definitely not a master sushi chef, so my slicing technique is definitely not really good, and it kind of makes me feel like I'm not worthy of a knife like this yet, to be honest. But hey, you gotta fake it until you make it. Now I have a knife of this caliber. It definitely challenges me to become a better user of the knife, so I will probably eat a little bit more sashimi in the future than I'm used to, because I need to make this knife an extension of my hands and deserve to wield it. But yeah, you gotta start somewhere. I do have a kick-ass Sujihiki right now. The more I will use it, the more I will deserve to use it, I guess. To round this up, I'm truly impressed with this blade made by Jiro. I think he is definitely the real deal. If this number 340 knife is already this amazing, then I can only imagine what his number 1000 knife will be like, or his number 5000 knife. So I'm definitely in the market for another Jiro knife, and I already know that the next Jiro knife that I would love to get my hands on is a nakiri with a wa handle, since I mainly cook with vegetables and the nakiri style knife is my most used knife because of its flat profile. I think I will wait a couple of years. I think he is one of those bladesmiths that will continue to improve every day, every single day, with his mentality to strive for perfection in any step of the process. I will definitely be interested in another Jiro knife whenever I get the chance to get my hands on one. I think anyone that is taking him or herself seriously as a cook or a chef and who loves quality blades should try out one of Jiro's knives. They are definitely made to cut with, to use and to cherish. Yeah, I'm looking forward to make this knife a extension of my arm. Right now I feel I'm not worthy for the knife yet, and I can't wait to feel like I am. Jiro, again, thank you for being approachable and being so kind to take time to answer my questions. I can imagine you have so many other things to do, especially when making a knife like this is taking so much of your time and energy. So I appreciate it a lot, and I hope I did your knife justice with this video. And yeah, I'm waiting for my nakiri with a wa handle.